By now, most of us are pretty comfortable with getting on our computer or our phone, dialing into an online video call where there's a group of folks discussing the topic at hand. But doing a video workout with a group of people brings a whole nother level of questions and trepidation. And then if you think about joining a group of people on a video fitness class for the first time, when you don't know who else will be there and what the expectations will be, and what the vibe will be, and what the instructor will be like, it brings a whole nother level. And so today we have a very special guest. One of our students, Debbie Hazelton, came to me and said, "Hey, Lynn, I would be comfortable. I would be okay telling my story." And Debbie's story is not faint for the heart. She talks about what it's like to be blind her whole life and being a survivor of sexual assault, and then trying to figure out what it's like to live in your own body, let alone live in a space where you can do exercise with a group of people online. And so I really appreciate Debbie being willing to share her story, bare her soul, her heart. And I just know for many of us, this story of Debbie's could be a game changer for you, to give you the confidence and the bravery of knowing, hey, I can try this. I really can. It's doable. And most importantly, I'm worth it. If this is your first episode, I'm Lyn Lindbergh, the founder of Couch to Active. This is the Couch to Active podcast. While you're listening to this episode, head on over to the main page of our website, couchtoactive.com. You'll see what's going on there today, what events we have going on, classes, etc. We would love to meet you and have you join us there. So let's head on over to our interview with Debbie Hazelton. Debbie, thank you so much for coming on and having a little conversation with me. Appreciate it.
I'm honored.
Great. Well, yeah, Debbie, you have just been such a delight and such a joy, and in our classes, such a joy. And I would love for you to have the opportunity to share a little bit about your experience, your journey with health and fitness in general. I'll just lob it over to you and we'll have a little conversation.
So years ago, I think it was 2014, I was at a spiritual retreat meditating. And all of a sudden, I got this message that said, your biggest problem is all your feelings around being in a body. I could almost cry just starting to say this. Okay. And I was like, yeah, well, I know that. And I'm like, and I was getting, yeah, but there's more for you to know. And so I had always had mixed feelings about being in a body. Sometimes I loved it. Sometimes I hated it. Sometimes I was really great at helping other people feel better with, massage and other healing modalities. But there was still a whole area where I was struggling. And I have lived here with a couple of people who are brother and sister, and we've just known each other for a long time. And I knew that I was putting a lot on hold to be here. I knew that particularly I was putting intimacy and sexuality on hold. And so I had been around Clubhouse and some spiritual groups and intuitive kinds of things. And I had struggled a lot around sexual abuse and what I often refer to as ableism. I've often felt that as a blind person, I'm really wondering if other just human beings deal with what I often refer to as a dance between isolation and violation. And I know that I've dealt with that, but I bet you a lot of people, even without disabilities, also deal with it. We get people that are kind of in our space when we don't want them. And then we deal with sometimes loneliness, or who gets me in this crazy world of so much going on? Who gets what I'm saying or what I'm about or what I mean? Who listens to anybody? At times it feels like people just aren't listening. I think I heard somebody say our attention span is something like 6 seconds. And I hope it's better than that, but there may be a lot of that. And look at our TV, everything's repeated over and over for people who are catching it on the fly.
Yep.
So I was struggling with, I was born 3 months premature. I tried to come out back first, and I was in an isolette for 3 months where they couldn't touch me without gloves on. So there was no real skin contact. My mother was cut open with no anesthesia for me to be a cesarean baby. And I had 1 in 1,000 chances of living 12 hours. And so I was thank goodness I learned early about being determined or stubborn. I know I'm meant to be here. So at 3 months, I went home into a alcoholic, violent environment. And I had a lot to sort about all of that in terms of, when did I feel isolated and when do I feel violated? Do I? So basically, after struggling with a lot around, who's touching me, when or where, and not that there was some sexual abuse that was more later as I was doing my share of acting out, but early, I don't think that's what it was. So it finally came to me that what it really was being a little blind baby and a little premature baby, and not knowing how to sort out all that was happening, all the handling. And once I got that, I went, oh, that's not about blame. That's not about huge things to work through. That's not about resentment. That's just about a real reasonable reaction, of confusion as a blind baby. And I know that you work a lot with other people who are blind. Some have been blind since birth and some not, but I've asked people who have been blind later, have you noticed that you're being communicated with differently? Do you feel like people are communicating differently since you lost your sight? And they say, oh, yeah. Wow. And most of the time, it's not empowering about being in a body. Much of the time when people see us, it's, oh, here, let me put you over here. I'll set you or sit you or stand you over here, or here, let me find a place for you. And then they basically walk off and they're busy. And there we are.
Let me be your hero and help put you in the corner. Look at me. I help the blind person. Yay, that's me. Right. Yeah. Right.
And then how are we engaging? There's the violation, and then there's the isolation. How are we engaging? So I remember saying to a therapist years ago that people do this and they think that we're not physical or that we are going to break. And so we shouldn't be as physical. And she said, you need to be more physical. And so I've known for a long time that it's so important for me, for us, I think, to take care of our bodies, to be in them, to own them. And I remember when we did our first podcast talking about some of that, because I really think that's what you're all about, helping people to feel empowered so that our health stays with us and not that we've lost our power to poor health. And then our bodies are going to be managed by other people. And so I had been hearing about you for a while from a couple of people and how awesome Couch to Active is. And I decided I was going to start early in this year and didn't really know how the timing went, if it needed to be at the beginning of the month or I started in the middle. And I remember just feeling this sense of celebrating, like, I'm coming into Couch to Active and just embracing everything we were doing, all the exercises in the classes.
I remember that.
Awesome.
You would come in. You're like, this is so great.
It is.
This is so great.
It is. It is. And I don't always like exercise classes. I mean, especially where we're not talking and hanging out during. Yeah. I want to cut up and do everything that needs to happen. But there's still time to cut up before and after in your classes, for sure. There's still chat time at the beginning and the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I knew I felt a real rush and of excitement and like, oh, okay, we're going to the floor. Yay. Okay, we're stretching and we're doing, we're balancing. Oh, hey, I'm doing better at that, and so many crunches. Oh, weights. Wow. Love the weights. And so it is awesome. It really, really is awesome.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Debbie, you said something that is kind of an aha moment to me because, I mean, as you know, when I first started Couch to Active, I didn't have my sight set on, blind and visually impaired. Just a couple of folks came to me and said, hey, heard you on a podcast.
Yeah.
Love to work with you. By the way, I'm blind. And that's where it all started.
Yes.
The fact that we are completely online and accessible, so our descriptions are so folks can, follow quite well. Does that help make it feel like a safer place for someone who is blind to participate? Because they aren't being put in. Yeah.
Well, because there's interaction, like when you give feedback and you go, oh, you're looking good, or, oh, just raise that up a little higher or move that out from your body a little, I think. And it's not constant. It's not like, I mean, I've been in exercise classes where I feel like I've got 15 people trying to tell me what to do. And I'm like, there's one teacher here. I don't want to hear all that from everyone, or I don't want to feel like somehow everybody's better than me and I'm not getting it. And so, but I think, I think you make everybody feel safe or help allow for everybody to feel safe. I think your direction, your description is some of the very best. It really is. And your voice goes a long way. I love your voice.
Well, thank you.
Warm and it's fun and you're not afraid to share. There are days that you haven't been feeling well. And I don't know how often, but I haven't, been there in a while to know, but I think you're feeling better and better, and
I am.
And so, but you do a lot, and you also protect us by hiring people and you get our input, and you do a lot and the variety helps. The variety of all the classes.
Yeah. Well, this is your guys' gig. This is for you. It's no longer about me anymore. That ship sailed a long time ago.
Well, but it is in that you are the one behind it with just, incredible vision I love the name, and I love all of you know why you do what you do with it. Even when we've discussed any of it privately or in the classes, you know exactly what you want, and you're standing behind your word with it. And it is about you.
Thanks.
It is about you.
Well, it is. It's definitely become a real mission for sure. And when you mentioned I'm pretty real and you're right. There is, when you're the instructor of a class, there is an element of what I call performance art a little bit. Yeah. There is that, if I came on anytime I wasn't feeling like rocking it and I was like, oh, I don't feel good today, I'm not really feeling it, like that would be no fun. So but the thing is, we know that, we accept that. But I also know that, sometimes sometimes when I wasn't feeling as well, I wouldn't be doing the exercises with you. And I didn't pretend I was, because I knew y'all could tell.
Well, but what you started doing, I thought in some cases, at least I noticed with one of my favorite Strength in Everything classes, what you started doing was not doing them so much with us, but watching us and giving feedback God, who's the guy?
The instructor, William?
Yeah, William. Why do I want to call him by the other guy who you didn't bring in? But what William does that. William gives a lot of feedback. At least he has. And you started doing that. And so I would say, hey, whenever you don't feel like doing it, and especially because you're doing classes, sometimes several a day. You're doing so many a day.
It's great.
You may not want to. But to give feedback like that, I think it really personalizes it.
It's appreciated. Yeah. And people feel seen. And So I have a question. One of the nuts I'm trying to crack is joining something like Couch to Active or any fitness, anything. The intimidation factor is through the roof for most people. What would you say to somebody who's just like, okay, but I'm just scared?
Well, I would tell them about me and how I struggled with feeling okay being in a body. I mean, a lot of blind people have had so much criticism and derogatory stuff said about, you just need to, tuck in your shirt and, God, and, you just, you shouldn't wear that and stand up straight. My mother was constantly about posture to the point where I just was like, I'm just was tuning her out, no. And part of it was I couldn't relate to what it felt like, what it was supposed to feel like I was standing upright. So I think a lot of times there's a disconnect of somebody feeling like they're not used to feeling their body as their own. They're not used to feeling like they're really grounded in it. And so to go and do something like exercise where it just may feel really weird to trust. And, I mean, I would think some discussion like that, but, maybe talking with people and more about, you really are safe because there are people in here with all levels of ability and some who really are more fragile and some that, some who feel great and strong and some who have gotten a lot stronger, but they've gotten stronger by doing it, by showing up and letting it happen. Yeah. But I think there are a lot of people who feel intimidated.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Debbie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you just coming on and sharing your experience and the story you shared at the beginning. I did not know about you. So I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Just opening up, and it means a lot. It means a lot. If you are considering a similar journey, I want you to know about a fantastic resource we have for you called the Week Zero Checklist. In this checklist, it talks through all of those lifestyle pieces that really are your missing link to figuring this out for you in a way that doesn't feel like it also derails your life at the same time. It's a simple checklist with a lot on it that you can easily digest, and we've priced it cheap, and then we marked it down even cheaper so you can get this checklist for only $7. That's right, the price of a latte nowadays, and I can't believe a coffee costs $7. Can you believe that? So if you want to get a hold of that resource, that's really your number one place to begin this whole journey. Head over to couch2active.com/0, ZERO, or the number 0 will get you there too. you can get that checklist, and that'll really help ground you in knowing what is your next best step to help you get a similar journey going for you. I'm Lyn Lindbergh, and this is the Couch to Active podcast. Head on over couchtoactive.com/0.